on this computer. Yep. So today for our fourth lecture, first of all, we will cover array, okay? So we can easily generate a group of vectors or matrices in R by using arrays. And I will tell you what array means in a while. So let's just give it a name. Let's say this is my array. And I can just use array function. This is what I'm using. Here is my data. Take it from 1 to 24. It's up to you guys. You can generate anything you want in here. And my dimension is going to go like 3 or 2 this times. So that means I'm generating a 3-dimensional array right now. Oh, sorry guys. And here is my array. You can see it in my global environment. And now I have 3 by 4 matrices in here, but I have 2 layers. Now I have 2 layers and 2 matrices in my array, okay? Now we can say that this is a 2 layers constitutes a 3 by 4 matrices in here, okay? So you see that the order of the dimension in here, row, column, and layers, okay? The first one is row, and this is column, the number of columns in here, and these are layers. I have 3 rows, 4 columns, and 2 layers in my 3-dimensional array in here. And of course, I can just generate a 4-dimensional array, which can be the blocks of 3-dimensional arrays in here. And this is going to be a 4-dimensional array comprised of 3 copies of my array. I will have these arrays and I'm going to just have blocks on them. Let's say my 4-dimensional array, and I just use array function again, okay? And here is my data. Oh, sorry guys, here is my data. Let's do repetition from 1 to 24 again. I will have 3 blocks. And this time my dimension is going to be 3 rows, 4 columns, 2 layers, and 3 blocks in here, okay? And when you just write your my 4 array, when you print it, you will see that, again, I'm having 3 by 4 dimensional matrices. And this is my first layer. And I have my second layers, and with them I have 3 blocks. And my first layer, my first layer, sorry guys, my second layer, my first layer and second layer, and I have my first and second layers. And I have 3 blocks, 1, 2, 3 blocks in here, okay? These are the first blocks, second blocks, and 4 blocks. Now we have like 4-dimensional arrays in here. Is it clear, guys? Are you guys with me?
Hocam, I didn't understand. I understood the first one, like in the line 6, but after that, I didn't understand when you wrote 2 and then 3. I didn't understand. Okay, I understand. I just understood one of them, which is making as the previous one, but I didn't understand the other.
Okay, so in here we have 3-dimensional arrays. But for this one, we are adding 1 more dimension. So we can call it blocks, okay? For example, for matrices, we have 2 dimensions. When you add 1 dimension, you are now having layers, 2 layers. And by adding 1 more dimension in here, for each of them, you are adding a block. Now you have 3 blocks in here, and the last index is showing your blocks. This is my first block, and here is my first block, and here is my first block. And each of my blocks, I have two layers. You see that? This is my first block. And I have my first and two layers. And each of these layers, I have 3x4 matrices. Here is my 3x4 matrices. Okay.
But why is it important? Like, why didn't we just write it in form of matrix?
So for example, you have a data and you are looking for some numbers of students, okay? For example, these are the students' IDs. You are looking for the gender, age, something, okay? And now this is my index for students. Maybe this is in classroom math and English. You have two different classes in there. And also you may have 3 schools. So you have students and students within classrooms and classrooms within schools. Okay? This is how you want to design your data. And then you may use your 4-dimensional data sets in here. Okay? And this is also a baby example. In real life, you will have bigger matrices and too many blocks in there, okay? But this is just a baby example. So you are always able to index in arrays similar to vectors matrices in here. For example, you want to get the second row of the second layer in my array. Let's say I have my array, okay? This is my array. I have 2 layers in here. And you want to get the second row of the second layer. For this one, you just get the my array and we are using indexing in here. Here is my second row. I'm just looking for all the columns and I will get the second layer in here. Okay, now you are just going to the second layer and you will get the second row in here. This is how you are indexing in here. And also, for example, you just want to get the second row from all the layers. Now you have all the layers, all the columns, but just the second rows. And when you run this part, you will see that you have this guy and this guy. Okay. Now we are able to index inside the array. So let's. Okay. So
Hocam,
here is the. Excuse me.
Why we put 3 at the last?
So we are looking for the third row and the second column of the matrix in the second layer or in the third block. This is my third block.
Okay.
In my 4-dimensional array. We are looking for the third row and the second column of the matrix in the second layer of the 3-dimensional array located in the third block in my 4 array. Okay. And now, if you don't have any questions, I'm happy to answer if you have any question in here. But if you don't, I will move to factor. Okay. So when you are checking your previous knowledge in here, do you remember any example to factors? Do you know any of them?
No.
No?
I don't think so.
No? Okay. So let's stop for a while here. And I have my factors. Let's say I'm generating a factor in here, giving my factor. And here is what? Here is what. When you just add the function factor, that means you are generating a factor in here. And let's say I have E, Z, M, I, R. I have Izmir in here. Okay. Now I just use the factor function. When I write my factor, and you will see that it's just giving me that vector with levels. So you have level I M, R, and Z. Okay, these are my levels in here. And maybe you will see that even it's a character vector, it's just not adding quotes. These quotes in here, here is my quotes, these two guys. But when you just generate a factor, R is not adding quotes around the values because they are levels. They are not strings anymore in here, okay? And please also notice and just watch out there. And when you just display it, when you just write a factor, R just displays these guys. These are the distinct levels below your factor in here, okay? So when you need a factor in here in R, R converts your data to a factor in here. And there are some functions in R. They are just working with factors in here, and they are kind of important for us in here. And you can only generate factors with the form of vectors. So there is no matrices or multidimensional arrays in here, okay? Vectors can be factors in here. And if you want to see the levels of my factor, let's see in here, when you just write the levels, you will see that I have my levels in here. And of course, you can relabel a factor in here. Let's say I have my levels and I want to change them, okay? I want to change them to O, D, T, and U. And when you write your new factor with new levels, now you have O, U, D, O, T, T, T. So you will see that your levels right now from IMRZ, it's going to be changed to O, D, T, U. And corresponding of this, my factor right now is this one with new levels in here.
Okay. John, we can't see the last output of your screen.
Can you see it now?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry guys. So right now you have your new levels, you change them. For example, the I is O now, the M is D, the R is T, and the Z is U, I mean. And when you check out for this guy, you will see O, D, O, T, 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 okay? Any questions so far?
Hocam, can you give us a real life example where we can use factors? Like,
this can be a female and male. For example, my factor, let's say gender, and you can just generate a factor, let's say with female and male, and let's say female and female. This can be our genders in our classroom. Let's choose like 10 students, and you're just recording their gender in here, and you just write it in R, okay? And you found 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 students, let's say. And here is your factor. And when you just check out what is happening, my factor gender, you will see that right now you have female, male, female, female, male, and 3 females, and you only have 2 levels in here, okay? Are you guys with me? Is it clear?
Is it kind of like, I apologize for interrupting again.
No, it's okay. It's okay.
So it's kind of like finding the categories of let's say a data set.
Yeah,
right?
Kind of categories, but this is not exactly categorical data. It's kind of a factor, okay?
Okay, and when I was experimenting, I tried right now just having one of the F's as a lowercase letter, and it created a third factor with a lower, so it's lowercase sensitive.
Perfect. Yes, R is lower and uppercase sensitive in here. Okay.
Okay, okay.
Let's
Thank
say if I have my factor gender, if I just write my factor gender, R doesn't know what is that. Okay. Because
Yeah,
this
yeah.
uppercase, and this is same for in everywhere of the data or the vector. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Hocam.
You're welcome. Yep.
May I ask, according to what these levels are like sorted? Like, is it alphabetically or is it among
Yeah, when you just check out in here, you will see they are alphabetically ordered. Especially in here, you will see we have Izmir, for example. But when you just check out for levels, they are alphabetically ordered.
But in the O2 one, it starts with O, or is it 0?
No, we don't have 0. This is O. And this is O in here.
But in the
We see
levels,
that- No. I'm just converting levels from this guy to here. So you will see that O, and for you should check out the corresponding levels from IM, RZT, ODTU. Okay.
all right.
So we continue with factors in here, and also we may check some values if we have in our factor. Let's say I have my factor. Here is my factor in here. O, U, D, O, T, T, T with 4 levels. I have 4 levels. And if I say, if my factor equals, I'm asking, to O. And when I just check for this one, you will see that I have true, false, false, which are true, false, false, true, and 3 falses in here. So you can easily check out for any equality in your factor in here. Okay. So we may have some ordered factors. For example, for female and male, these are not ordered in here. Or Izmir, this is not an ordered factors in here. It is ordered in alphabetically when you just check out for levels. And maybe your levels can be ordered like from smaller to bigger or from bigger to smaller. Let's say I want to generate a vector with my factors, the planets in our solar system in order of size, okay? When I just say my order again, I want to change it. I want to generate a vector first with some characters, okay? And let's say I have, someone is asking for inside. I have Jupiter. These are ordered in size, okay? And I have Saturn in here, and Uranus, and Neptune, and Earth, and Venus. Do you know which one is next in size? Huh? Do you have any idea? Which planet we have now? Come on. Mars and Mercury here, okay? So when I just check out for the length of my order, you will see I have 8 planets in my our solar system in the order of size. And if you just write it in your console, you will see that you have all of them in there. And if you want to convert this vector, this string vector to factor, you just say my order, just give it a name, factor in my case. I want to convert it to factor by using my vector in here. and just get the levels from my order. Just use that levels in that order. And if you just write order equals true, now when I just write the updated one, you will see that I have my vector, and this time the levels of my vectors are ordered. And this looks like the bigger one. But when I check that one, Jupiter is the bigger one actually. So I have to convert them actually. Okay, but still let's keep it them in this way. And for example, if you just check out for, let's say, my order factor, the second one, if it is smaller than the fifth, let's say the fifth one, and it just checking element wise comparing in here. Okay, and this is an order vector right now. Do you have any questions so far, guys? Are you guys with me? Huh?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Is it clear in here?
It is.
Yeah.
Okay.
Can I ask a question?
Of course, but let me first change the order because
Okay.
I just write it in this, I have to write it in this order actually. And because I think Mercury is the smallest one, yeah? Jupiter is the biggest one, I guess. Do you remember which one is which?
Jupiter is the largest one.
I have to write in this way. And Neptune and Uranus and Saturn. Okay, okay. So when I just convert it, you will see Jupiter is the biggest one, and this is just ordered by size. So we have a question. Yes, Leka.
Yeah, now I have two questions.
Okay.
The first one, does vector function always work with strings only, or can we also use it with some numbers?
We can also use the numbers. For example, let's say generally, instead of, let's say I want to generate one more factor in here, instead of these f and 1, I want to write them as 1 and zeros. 1, 0, sorry guys. 1, 0, 0, 0, 1, 1. Let's see if it is working. And when you just write my factor gender, you will see that it is 1 and zeros, and it has just 2 levels. Okay.
Okay.
One more.
And the second question was, isn't there any function to just reverse the order of a vector instead of writing it one by one?
Maybe we may have, but I did the mistake just writing the vector, I guess. I have to think about it, okay?
Okay. I mean,
but of course you can change the order, but I need to check it out.
Okay.
But my mistake is just, I just write the vector in a wrong order at the very beginning.
And in factors, in our, when we do ordered equals true, does it always mean that it is in increasing form?
It looks like you, when you check out for this part.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
But if you are looking for more info in here, maybe it's a good idea to go to help page and see if you can just change the order in here. Okay. Let's see what can you do more with this guy. Okay, please work on the factors, like more complicated than it seems. Okay, guys. So if you don't have any more questions, I want to give you generate a new factor. Let's say this is my factor, and sorry, I generally give it a name like my order. This is going to be ordered factor and 2. And I want to generate new vector, a factor vector. Let's say I have Mars, one more Mars. Here is my vector, and one Earth. Okay. I want R to have to give the same levels of my previous levels of my previous vector in here. And again, it is ordered true. Okay. And you see, when I just check out for this guy, you will see my vector is Mars, Mars, and Earth, the elements. And this is a factor vector. You can, when you just see the levels, you understand that one. And you have the same levels as the previous one. Okay? Let's say you want to combine these two vectors. They are factor vectors, okay? Let's say you want to combine them in here. Maybe you remember we were using C, that means combine two vectors. My order fac and my order, these are two ordered vectors. Unfortunately, when you just combine them, and since C, the combine function interprets all factors as integers. So it's just giving you a numeric vector. When you just check out for that one, you see that you have a numeric vector in here, and it's just giving you that vector. So this is not what you are looking for. Actually, you were just wanted to combine the elements together, okay? So to do that one, we have to find the index positions of each entry, and we have to put them together. So it is kind of a more complicated than just combining them, because C is just take all elements as strings. So in here, if we want to combine, if we want to finalize this combination in here, first of all, we should use the levels of my order fact, because I have all orders in here, but to find the positions, I can just get the positions. Okay, here are my positions. You will see. You see, here are my positions in here of all elements. Here are positions. You have to index your levels and just add them and just give it a name. My order 3. Here is the name. When I just write my order 3 this time, you will see you can just get them in here. Okay? As a vector. Again, you want to change them, my order 3 dot factor, you want to change them to a factor, and you can just use the factor function with your new ordered vector in here, order 3, and I want to use the levels as the levels of my first factor in here, and of course the ordered is true.
Professor, I think like the past 5 minutes have been a tiny bit too quick, because writing the vectors have long names.
I agree.
So when you're trying to write the long names, it's hard to concentrate with what you're saying at the same time. This is just like my personal view.
Okay, let me just redo the same job. Does this work for you guys? Can I do it in a more slower manner?
That would be amazing, Professor.
Okay.
Yes, please.
Because we are not as fast as you, Hocam.
Okay, sure. Okay, let me do that again. So we have a vector as a first step, okay? We have the Earth first. Then we are generating our new vector with different kind of the other ones in here. Okay, and I have my order first, and when I just check my order, you will see that I have all the planets, and I want to change them, I want to convert them in an ordered factor manner. Okay, so now you are going to change your vector into a factor. Okay, and you are going to use the levels in here, and also it's going to be ordered. I think we are happy with the first one, huh? Are you happy with the first one?
Yes.
Okay,
Much
this is
happier.
ordered by size. This is the biggest one, this is the smallest one, and you can already see in the levels. Okay, since you said orders equals true, if you don't say that, let's say order is false, you will see that you do not have that smaller sign in here. That means these are just levels, they are not in the order. Okay, and let's go back and just change it to true. Okie dokie. So this time I have my ordered factor, and you are able to see the levels in an order. Now, as a second step, I want to generate a second factor with this vector. Here is my second vector. Mars, and Earth. You see, I have these two planets. I have two from Mars, one Earth. This is my second vector, but I want to convert this vector to a factor. Okay, so I have to use this factor function and the levels of this guy. Okay, levels of this guy. I mean, this is going to use these 8 levels in here with my order factor 2. So when you just check out for this one, I have the same levels as before, but this time in my factor, I just have 3 of them. But of course, I have all levels in there, okay? Even it is not seen in your data. You have all levels from the previous factor. So if you want to combine them, sorry guys, you will just get the indexes where they are placed. So I have Mercury, Mars, Venus, Uranus, Jupiter. And also I added Mars, Earth. So that means 2, 2, 4. You see that? Mars in 2, Earth in 4. Okay? 2, 2, 4 in here. So you have the places right now. So what you want to do is that you want to combine these two guys by using these places. So remember indexing in here. When you just get the levels, you will see all levels from Mercury to Jupiter. So if you just do indexing in here, it will get all of them by the index in this order. So when you just run this part, you will see that you just combine two vectors. This is your first vector. Mars, Earth is your second one. Okay? Now you just generated a new vector, but at the end of the day, you want to generate a factor. So just convert this, the third guy, the latest one, to a factor by using the same levels and order true. And you will see that we have Mercury, Mars, Venus, Earth, Neptune, Uranus, Saturn, Jupiter, the first one, and Mars, Earth, the second one. And we have levels.
Hocam, why do we have to specify the levels?
You mean this part?
No, the one after that. Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
now our data has some levels in here, because we are talking about the planets in the order of size. This is the property of our data actually. This is not a data. This is a specific data has some orders in it. Okay?
Yes,
For
but
example,
I mean,
someone, let's say Fulya file, and Fulya is generating a vector from these guys, Jupiter and Mars and Earth. And also she's also adding one more Earth in here. And maybe I want to just, it is not enough just to generate my data because it's just the data from string in here. But I want them as a factor in levels, okay? Because, for example, let's say you want to use table. You want to use your table comment. And when you just write the latest factor, when you just write table, you will see that you have 1 Mercury, 3 Mars, 1 Venus, 2 Earth, blah, 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 okay? Table is just working with, table function is just working with factors in here, for example. And even there are some analysis and some plots that you have to use some factors to get the correct one, okay?
Yes, but I mean, if we didn't write levels equals levels blah blah, it would take the levels by itself. Is it right?
Can you just repeat the question, please?
Yeah. If we didn't write levels equals levels blah blah, the R would just take. It will take the levels for us, so we don't have to write levels, do we?
No, no, no. You have to write the levels because you want to use the same levels as this one. Okay, you want to use the same level. But in here, if you don't write it,
Okay.
then your level is just going to be 2.
Yeah. Right. Okay. Thank you.
And just to confirm, when you, for example, say that, from what I gathered, when you say that the levels of, let's say, factor X are equal to the factor Y, and then you just utilize factor X as the level function, like in brackets factor X, it'll copy what factor Y has, right?
Yep, when I just check for example, in here, I have my order fac. And if I just write the levels of my order in here, you will see that I just get the levels in there. So I can assign these levels to another factor.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm. Any more questions? So if you don't have, I want to combine some multiple vectors into one vector and a factor in here, okay? And let's just do some combination. So we will just combine. Let's see. You may just generate some vectors from numbers. Let's say the first one is 1, 2, 3. And when you just write V2, the second one is going to be 4, 5, and 6 in here. And I have my V3, 7, 8, 9. Okay. So I have 3 vectors, V1, 1, 2, 3, V2, 4, 5, 6, and V3, 7, 8, 9. So there is a function in R. After you generate some kind of vectors, you can use the stack function in R that you can combine the list into a 2-column data frame. Okay, let's see what I'm talking about. Let's give it a name. My comp, for example. This is up to you guys. You can give any name in here. My combination is, please R stack. Stack is a function defined in R. The list, you have to use list inside the stack because you can just combine list into a 2-column data frame in here. And we will talk about list in a while. And the first one is V1, and just get the V1 in here. And second one is V2, and just get the V2. And the third one is V3, and just get the V3. So when you just write my comb in here, you will see that you have your values 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, the values from your 3 vectors, and you get the corresponding indices from here. Okay? If you just change them, let's say 3 flower B, and you just get 3 flower and B in here. Okay? Maybe when you see like side chi-square in R, you have to have this kind of long format data. This is a wide format in here. If you want to change them to a long format, by combining the list into a 2-column data frame, you can just use stack in here, okay? And R is giving the values and indices as a name in here for your data frames, okay? So the first column in here is just including your data, and the second column contains the parallel factor over there, okay? And some statistical functions require the data in that format, like chi-square, like let's say table, if you want to use that one, and my combination, you will see that, sorry guys, I have to do it for indices, of course. And I have 3 trees, 3 flowers, and 3 bees in here. Okay? Any questions so far? Is it clear?
Yes.
Maybe this is more if you just do cbind. Let's see, I do cbind from V1 to V3. You will see that I have V1, V2, and V3. This is a wide format, and here is my long format in here. Okay? So we can easily change from wide format to long format by using stack function